It's bacon time. Welcome to Talking Sports. I'm Dad with Bacon. Gonna bring some of the boys on here right away and let's get these things started. We got TJ.
What's up, man?
Hey, got Brandon join us.
What's going on, fellas?
And Papa Bacon himself is joining us right away. How you doing, fellas?
Good. How are you?
Man, doing well. I'll start the show off right away. But one of the things that we've been seeing the last few weeks here on Death with Bacon is TJ and Marco have been hitting us with some hot takes. So I want to go ahead and kick to TJ to kind of burn us down a little bit. What's happening lately with Hot Take Tuesday with you and Marco?
Dude, it's been probably one of the best days where if you got some steam kind of boiling up in your body, you just come out there and you just let all hell break loose. We don't let all hell break loose. Oh, we let the world break loose. And it's not just sports, it's everything. So we've talked about everything. It's become a hit, man. I think people are really starting to get used to us just going off the rails with this one.
Yeah, I got to call you out, though. The first show, you said you felt like me. And I don't know what that means, but, you said you felt like me. So I'm happy for you. I don't know what that means, but I'm happy for you, I guess. So,
you know what? I honestly can't remember what I said to say I feel like you, but I think it had to be something about me saying probably something about the Packers or the Badgers. And I was like, man, I feel just like Ben.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll take it as a compliment. Why not, right? And Troy is on with us too here. How you doing, Troy?
What's going on, man? How you?
Man, I'm doing well. I got to start off with you by saying I told you so. I told you Michigan would beat Ohio State.
I was worried just because of what I had seen without Harbaugh on the sideline. They just did not look the same, and it worried me. But I guess I overestimated Ohio State, I guess.
So, fellas, if you'll humor me, let's go right into college football right away and start the show off. Does that work for you guys? All right. So, let's start in the Big Ten. We talked about Michigan a little bit. Michigan and Iowa. A lot of hate on this matchup. Again, Iowa is their own fans wear punt T-shirts to their games for good reason. So, look, when I look at college football as a whole, being the nerd that I am, we've shared this before, I'm on a ranking system. I have Michigan number one in the country right now. I think that overall their performance so far year to date has been the strongest. They've been the most consistent. I think Michigan is the best team in college football right now. That being said, they have one of their best tests based on playing the Iowa defense coming up this weekend. Mm-hmm. You being the Michigan guy, Troy, Michigan fan, what do you see going this weekend, and how do you feel with this matchup as Big Blue goes to play Iowa in Indianapolis?
I feel pretty good about it, honestly, and it's mostly just because, they have a good defense, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Michigan has the number one defense in the entire country, and Iowa's offense is not strong at all. So it's going to be hard to win a game if you don't score any points.
Fair enough. TJ, you're hating on this game and hating on Michigan pretty hard up there. What do you think, brother?
Well, first of all, Brandon, did you give him any of your weed? Is that what he's smoking tonight? Dude, he's high as hell. Saying Michigan should be number one. Far from that, my friend. Far from that. Georgia will stay at number one.
They have the best wins of everybody in the country.
Yeah, and Brandon and I have been butting heads for the past 3 weeks that Oregon should not be above Texas, but at this point in time, I've kind of realized two things. One, yes, Oregon has a better offense than Texas, but two, if you put it pen to paper, Oregon and Texas are very equal. So I think it would be a hell of a game to watch, but at the same time, hey, Oregon's got number 5. I'm happy for them. Texas is going to stay at 7. Ohio State went to 6. Whatever. Michigan will never be number 1. The day Michigan's number 1 is the day that I turn over.
They will be at the end of the year.
I'm turning over at the end of the year.
All right, Brandon, counterpoint. Go ahead, brother. What you got this weekend? This matchup.
I mean, I don't know why you keep wanting to think that Texas should be ahead of Oregon. It just blows my mind. But I don't know. I think Michigan definitely deserves number one. I think, like you said, they've had the most impressive wins of the season. Georgia. I mean, not that it really matters. I mean, you can go either one, and there's a strong case for both. So, I mean, I guess it all really depends on what you would normally. Well, how would you like the season to end? You know, do you want Michigan to be number one and Georgia two? Cool. There's a good argument for that. If you want Georgia 1 and Michigan 2, there's a good argument for that too. So, I mean, I expect those two teams to handle their business and, you know, end the season where they are right now. But this is going to be an interesting weekend.
Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, as far as I think right now, Michigan is favored by they're double digit favorites if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's over 20. I'm not mistaken.
Is it over 20? Okay,
I think so.
I could see them easily winning at least by 2 touchdowns. Iowa just doesn't have. I mean, it would have to take. I think for Iowa to win this game would have to be on the same level as, was it Villanova upsetting Georgetown back in like '85 or whatever in the NCAA basketball tournament. I mean, they would have to play absolutely perfect. They'd have to their offense would have to put on a performance they haven't done in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And their defense would have. I mean, their defense is great. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, Troy, I think Michigan's defense is just as good enough, if not better. So, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to next year when they get rid of these divisions and you just have the 2 best, because even if it would have been, we may have had just a rematch of Ohio State and Michigan for the Big Ten championship, but it still would be more entertaining, I think, from a fan perspective, from someone who doesn't have really any skin in the game, being a Badger fan, I'd much rather just see a rematch of Michigan and Ohio State, but give credit to Iowa. I mean, they,
I always thought they did the divisions really stupid, Aaron, because it seemed like they put all the highest powered teams into one side. Like, that didn't make sense to me.
Well, I think your problem there too is you're looking at regions, right? You're trying the geographic locations, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State being where they are, it lent itself to that. I mean, there's a case being made for they got Nebraska. They're trying to get a powerhouse, but that was looking back to the '90s and not present day.
Yeah.
So it's the effort was there, the intention was great, but the follow through wasn't quite what we were looking for. Before we go forward, I'm gonna bring some more controversy into our conversation before we go to the next game.
No, not
because you know how I am, guys. So based on my rankings and how I looked at based on strength of schedule, based on strength of wins, Michigan was my number 1. Georgia was my clear number 2, and then I had a tie for 3rd between Oregon and Florida State.
You all are high as hell, man.
Was that pre-Travis injury?
That is pre-Travis injury, yes. I was looking at some of the whole, what they've done to this point, looking at their full schedule, how they played for the full season, total package, and what I did for my formula with this, I looked at value for road wins, value for strength of opponent, getting points based on all this to create this pointed system to create who has had the most impressive wins and gave us this level. When we're looking at, and also the other factor in this is by how many scores did they win. And so when we factor these pieces in, that's when we look at those 4 are your top 4. And if I did look at the same system, number 5 is Ohio State. With number 6 goes to Texas, number 7 is Washington. In this scenario, Washington has been a survivor. They have played tough. Don't get me wrong. The Pac-12 has been glorious in their last year, but Washington has survived, not thrived, if you will, in how they played their games. But talking about Washington, Oregon is, to me, one of the best games of the weekend.
Oh, definitely.
It obviously has the most. I think it's literally a playoff game already.
It is. Whoever wins is in. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So,
That's
Brian, you're the Oregon fan. Here's for you. Looking at the game early in the year, 1-score game. a fun game to watch. What do you expect this weekend in this matchup between Oregon and Washington?
I think like you said, this is going to be one. I think equal to the best game of the weekend. There's a chance the Ducks could run away with one. Like you said, Washington has been struggling the last couple weeks. Still an impressive win in the rain against Oregon State. That's a really tough building to win in. And even the game against Washington State, they're a team where you can't never count them out, especially in the Pac-12. I mean, they always put up tough games against Oregon. They seem to play tough against Washington too. But it's going to be, I expect a high scoring game. I still think there's a good chance the Ducks could, if they get out front early, it could be a nightmare for Washington. I mean, we could see another blowout game like we've been putting up the past couple weeks. But that's going to be a really fun game to watch.
And also the show guys, we talked a lot about Bo Nix and Michael Penix both as draft prospects and kind of how we're seeing these guys play out. I think this weekend will really be that showcase for both these guys who can lead a team in a tough matchup with a spotlight on them. But Troy, how do you see this game playing out, and what are you looking for in this matchup?
I don't know. It kind of leads into what you were talking earlier, about maybe it would have just been nicer or Aaron was saying actually about maybe it'd just be nicer to see a Michigan Ohio State rematch in the championship game because those are the two best teams in the Big Ten. Well, this kind of leads me to this again. I always hate when we get these rematches in these championship games because it always feels like the advantage goes to the team that lost first. And of course, the game at the end of the season means more than the one at the beginning of the season. So it doesn't really feel fair to me. And I give Oregon the advantage here. But then what does that mean? Then they're 1-1 head to head, right? So who really is the better team then? Why don't they play again?
Well,
Kind of the same thing with Georgia and Alabama too.
Sure.
I think, but Georgia and Alabama didn't play before. And you're looking at this, you've got Alabama.
They didn't play this year at all?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, neither, and that's another thing too. You look at the Big 12 game. Texas and Oklahoma State have not played this year. Every year Texas and Oklahoma State have played, Oklahoma State's had Texas's number. This is on a neutral site. This is for all the marbles for the Big 12. I mean, this is Texas's last season in the Big 12. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, and I've said this whole week in our chat, and I got another group chat I'm in that it's all Texas football. We're actually kind of scared of this game. Oklahoma State, they've always had our number, and it's kind of how I've always seen it. So for me, I think, the Oregon Washington game, cool, whatever. Pac-12, no one gives a shit. It's on a Friday night, no one cares. Everybody's going to be watching the Big 12 because it's Texas last season. Plus, this game is sponsored by WWE. They get a massive championship belt after this one. Once that's done, this is the last time people are going to see Texas with a Big 12 on their chest. And this is what people have been wanting was Oklahoma State and Texas against each other this season because that's always been the game to watch. So, in my eyes, I think the best game is going to be Texas, Oklahoma State. I'm going to say Georgia, Alabama. I may watch the Oregon game, but I got a high school behind me that's got a state championship to win, and they haven't been there in 20 years.
Man, I read some news to here, bud. Nobody's a shit about the Big 12. But anyway, Aaron, back to you about Oregon and Washington before we go into that game.
Hey, where are the Badgers at? Because I haven't heard shit from them this year.
We are where we thought we were. We're 7-5. Aaron, what do you think about the Oregon and Washington game?
Yeah, it will be a fun game to watch. Hope it's close, but I could very easily see Oregon just running away with this thing. I think that's another game. By the way, do any of you guys have on the game right now, the Thursday night game?
Yeah, that was a crazy throw.
Yeah, and it just hit. It looks like it hit the ground though, maybe. But
oh my goodness, that was crazy.
Seattle's putting up a lot better effort, or better showing than I thought they would, considering how they looked on was it Thanksgiving night that they
Yeah.
played.
Yep.
I mean, they looked awful that
Niners,
night. Anyway, getting back to this one, like I said, I like Oregon, and like, to me, even if they lose this one, I would still rather see them in the playoff than Washington, just because I think if you're looking at putting, they've always talked about how when the committee is putting together the list and finalizing the top four, they're looking as much at, what's going to get people to tune into the playoff as much as putting together the four best teams in there. They're kind of looking at both factors equally. And I've always liked Oregon. They're always a fun team to watch. So like I said, I'm cheering for Oregon because I really have no interest in seeing Washington in the 4-team playoff. I hope it's a good game and Oregon ends up winning it, but I just don't see at this point. Like you said, I mean, earlier in the year is when Washington beat them. I think Oregon's doing better right now. Washington is still winning, but they're not really dominating anybody. So I could see I think it's going to be Oregon.
So there's a small part of me that wants to point out the romantic side of all this. The Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl are your playoff games this year.
Mm.
If you can get Michigan versus Oregon for the for that Rose Bowl, the last Pac-12 Big Ten for that Rose Bowl, if you can get the Sugar Bowl with a Florida State, Georgia, there's some poetic justice to that, even though I want the Noles to lose to Louisville so bad. I also recognize reality. But anyway, that being said, let's go into that Oklahoma State and Texas game a little bit more. TJ touched on it a little bit already. Aaron wants to go to that game a little bit for us, and what are you seeing there? What are you looking for in that matchup?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not real familiar with either one of these teams. So, I'm looking at.
Here, Aaron, I'll tell you what to do. Just go like this. That's all you gotta do. Hey, you know what that means? You know what that means, right, Ben? When you do that, that means you fuck your cousin.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Just took a left turn.
Well, we just gotta put the e-tag on our podcast now. There it goes. Anyway, so
yeah, I mean, look, if I'll pick Texas for this one, but I'm not real familiar. Like you said, Ben, no one gives a damn about the Big 12. So, hey, oh, sorry there, TJ. Sorry. My
You guys need to win so bad, though, because you guys are the only team
TJ's
that
taking
can
his ball and
keep
going home.
Alabama out of this playoff.
So, keep you going, Brandon. What's your take on this game, though? Do you see Texas? Oklahoma started the year very slow, right? Texas has started fast, had to pick up Oklahoma, and they've been playing well besides that. We got to see Arch Manning, and I saw rumors this week about him possibly going to Ohio State. So, a lot to be made about that too, I guess. But, Brandon, what do you see in this matchup, and what are you expecting to see, I guess, between Oklahoma State and Texas?
I think Texas is going to run away with it. I think they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do and handle their business and make a pretty strong push for that number 4 spot.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be close.
Okay. Troy?
I'll tell you what, I was doing my picks for this, and I kept going back and forth. I was really hung up on this because Oklahoma State, when they have a big game, they usually play that opponent really tough. It's just they always have letdowns in games they shouldn't have letdowns in. What's the line on that game, Ben? Do you know?
I'll get it for you in a second. 1 second.
Okay.
Give me a moment.
I'm kind of tempted to. I'm tempted to take Oklahoma State here with the points. I think Texas is going to sneak it out, but I'm curious what them points are because I think Oklahoma State's going to keep it close.
So Texas is favored by 14.5.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely
Which
taking
is
the points there.
obscene.
I'm saying Texas only wins by a touchdown. Yep, I'll take them points.
Yeah, I'll take Texas, but I'll take those points for Oklahoma State all day long.
Yep.
So next game I mentioned before, Brandon mentioned the Jordan Travis injury, but Louisville playing Florida State in the ACC championship. This is interesting. This is really interesting to me because Louisville just laid an egg again last weekend. Playing Kentucky in that in-state rivalry game. Rivalry games are always tricky that way. It's not an ACC game. Got it. They laid an egg in a rain game in Pittsburgh early in the year, but they've played very well this year. And now they're playing Florida State, who survived a okay Florida team. So I guess, Troy, if you want to start us off here a little bit, what do you think happens this game? I think this is probably, to me, the most of a toss-up game we have of all these matchups all weekend.
No, I would agree because like Louisville looked like the team to beat early in the season. They were really playing some great ball. And now Florida State with this injury, you just don't know what you're going to get. I still think Florida State is going to pull this game out. I don't know how. I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. And I think Florida State is going to pull this game out. And it's going to make a lot of people unhappy because I think it's going to be enough to keep them in the playoff. I think that's what's going to happen.
You shouldn't.
Brandon, what you got, man?
It's just this game is going to make a lot of people really mad.
Yep.
Like you said, they're going to win this game, and the committee's going to be like, you know what? You're 13-0, so we're going to respect that, which is reasonable, but we're going to respect that, and you're going to keep the number 4 spot, which I don't see why, because we're going to get the same game that we just got against Florida, and they didn't even have 230 yards of total offense. Like, we're going to see a Georgia TCU game just with different opponents. Like, they're going to get crushed, whoever they play. Like, it's not going to be fun to watch. Whether if you allow Texas to get in over them, it's kind of like that would be the greatest matchup we could get, no matter what that ranking is, because those 4 teams would be so much fun to watch. It sucks to be an FSU if it went that way, but it's not going to be any fun to watch because your best player got hurt, and what we saw against Florida is what we're going to see again, and it's not going to be enjoyable.
Would that be the death nail in the ACC? If an undefeated ACC champion was left out of the playoffs, does that push the final chips in to disband the ACC and see them go everywhere else and
I think so.
Just restructure this realignment? Like we saw the threat of Florida State, Clemson, Miami all wanting to leave, and then it kind of all fell apart. It's kind of this whole big back and forth. If this happens because your quarterback's hurt, I think that'd be the death nail in the ACC. What do you guys? What do you think, Brandon?
I mean, I think it has to happen. I mean, the ACC is not enjoyable to watch, really. Like, it's usually one team out of that conference that dominates it. And, I mean, unless you're stacked like a Clemson team, like, you're going to get railroaded. I mean, look at what Florida State did in 2014 against Oregon. Like, everybody thought they were such a good team, and then they played a real team and got smacked. Like, that conference isn't, and those teams have potential. Like, they could get better if they went somewhere else, but they're just stuck in this weak conference against Boston College. Like, it's just not. They need to. I think it would help them out. It would suck for them, but it would help them out in the long run for multiple teams.
And that's calling out Masshole himself, guys. Calling out Boston College. So here we go.
Can I throw something back at you guys real quick? Because I've heard you kind of bringing up these different scenarios and how Texas can get in, how Alabama can get in, blah, blah, blah. But here we got Ohio State sitting back here just like they were last year and found their way in last year. Like, what would have to happen for them to find their way in again?
I think you'd have to get Florida State would have to lose, and
Michigan would have to lose to Iowa.
Those 2 teams would have to lose. I don't think, even because if Washington wins, Washington makes a really strong case to stay at least 3 or move up to 2, because they would have not only beat Oregon again, but prove that they can beat a top contender. So they would keep that spot. I think Georgia would keep that spot. I think they're going to win. So they'll keep that spot. I think Ohio State can only get in if those two scenarios, because their game was kind of already a playoff game, really.
TJ kind of talked over you there. Who were the two teams you said would need to lose?
I would say Michigan would have to lose, and Florida State would have to lose.
So you think if Michigan loses, Ohio State gets in over Michigan, even though they beat them head-to-head?
I disagree entirely. There's no way. Michigan had to get rolled by Iowa. Michigan loses a close game to Iowa, Michigan's still in. We've seen that before for Alabama. We've seen that before for Georgia. We've seen that before for a number of these other. When you're in that top two spots, if you lose a close conference championship game, they're not going to care. Michigan has been that good all year. If they lose a close game, they're in. If they lose bad, they're out. And that's where quality of wins going to matter here.
I don't think, but I posted this, I think it was earlier this week when Brandon and I were butting heads about, strength of schedule and everything. You look at how this is truly going to go, especially with Michigan and Ohio State. Even if Michigan loses by a field goal, they're out of the top 4. They will be at least 5th or 6th. Let's say this is how the weekend goes. Georgia wins. Okay, cool. They stay at 1. Michigan loses to Iowa. Okay, they're bumped out of the top 4. Let's say, miraculously, Oregon beats Washington. It'll be a close game. Oregon beats Washington. Oregon will probably jump to either 2nd or 3rd. Texas beats Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. They jump to 3 or 4 as well.
It's a huge assumption.
Okay. You've had assumptions all year, and a lot of them don't go the way you want. So keep going, but I'm letting you know right now. So this is how it's going to go. Michigan will not get in even with a 1-loss season. Ohio State will jump that.
I got to disagree with you there, TJ. I don't think there's any way a lot of other pieces have to fall before Ohio State jumps in there. I mean, they're going to be looking at teams that played this weekend before they put a team that was sitting out and didn't even make their conference championship game in.
Well, the only reason I brought that point up, though, is because that's exactly what happened last year, though.
But if you look at where they're ranked, it kind of falls for that that scenario. Because if they didn't think Ohio State could have a chance to get in, why are they ahead of Texas when Texas has had a better resume and been more consistent?
Right.
So,
but if Texas wins, if Texas
why are they
beats
ahead of Alabama, that's done the same thing. Yeah, they lost their first game of the season, but they've continued to get better, and I think that scenario is exactly why it could happen. This weekend
I
is going
think
to be crazy.
I think though Texas would have to lose to Oklahoma State for Ohio State to make it in.
They're ranked ahead of Texas. So that
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they win the conference championship game. They're playing this weekend. Ohio State's not. Ohio State's sitting on their ass at home back in Columbus watching this game. So there's no way that the committee is going to put in a 1-loss Ohio State team that didn't even make their conference championship game if Texas wins the conference. Now, if Texas loses to Oklahoma State, then it's all moot. But there's no way that they're going to punish Texas for winning the conference championship game by putting Ohio State in ahead of them. At least I hope not. Otherwise, that the committee is fucking trash. I mean, that'd be absolute bullshit if they did that.
So
I hate Ohio. Of course, I hate Ohio State, so I'm a little.
Do you think Georgia and Michigan are in unless they get blown out? That's the only way they don't make it.
I mean, there's a case where you could see both of them in this playoff. Like,
no. I'm saying, like, do you think they're a guaranteed lock to make the playoff unless they would get blown out?
Whoever wins the game is.
No. I'm saying Georgia and Michigan.
I say Georgia's a shoo-in. Georgia is definitely
even if they lose. Even if they lose, because how is Alabama going to?
I think Georgia has a better case to stay in if they lose. Because I don't think you punish a team that's won 29 in a row and is reigning back-to-back national champion. I don't think you punish them because they lose the first, their first game in 29. Like,
doesn't matter. All matters is the 13 they're playing this year. Last year does not matter. You get that out of our heads.
The way that committee goes, they're not going to not have an SEC
team.
It's
in
look,
No, I'm not saying they wouldn't, but
And
why?
it's gonna
What would prevent Alabama from jumping in then?
if Florida State wins.
It would all fall on Texas. If Texas loses, yes, Alabama will jump in. But since Texas beat Alabama, if Texas wins and Alabama wins, they're going to go on a head-to-head. It's going to be a point differential. And I have a feeling, I may be wrong with this. I'm always wrong with crunching numbers, but I'm pretty sure Texas may outscore Alabama by maybe 4.5 points, if that's truth with that. So if Texas and Alabama both win, Alabama's not going to make it in.
Oh man, this is crazy.
Point to here,
This
guys.
is just insane
Alabama's
because
not playing this weekend. I will. We'll go to that game right now. So we keep. We're already going ways into this, but I'll say Bama. I will call this shot, and I would stake a lot on this. And I will go away for a month if you guys want. Bama does not win this weekend at all. Georgia is the lock of the weekend. Georgia wins easily this weekend, and there's no one bailing Bama out in Atlanta. They're not getting a 4th and 31 prayer in the corner because Auburn doesn't know how to cover the end zone in a stupid play. That's not happening.
Yeah, but Auburn's a tough place to play, though. If you look at Georgia's record against Auburn, too, like Georgia struggled against Auburn,
No,
too,
I
playing
get
in
that.
that building. Like that building is a hard place to play in. I mean, so it's not like one of those games where, and the Iron Bowl is always an interesting game because you never know what you're going to get out of it.
I get that, but Auburn's still Auburn, and Auburn has screwed up more than they've figured out. And
Hey, God bless you, Aaron.
They're an inferior team. But anyway, that being said, we'll please anyone go ahead and chime in here more. But if anyone disagree, is Georgia going to lose this game?
My head, everything says Georgia's going to win the game pretty handily. But just because I think it's going to be fun and interesting, and it's going to make a shit storm, I'm pulling for Alabama just because of that. That's the only reason.
I think your best chaos situation, to your point, if Bama, Texas, Oregon, and Iowa win this weekend, that is your best chaos scenario. To absolutely just destroy everyone's the sports world's minds and make us hate ourselves and everyone around us. But that's the chaos situation.
Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Texas. Those are my 4.
So, yeah, I just
Possible.
get it. I don't see a scenario, though, where the Pac-12 winner misses out.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's true. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
And that was Brad that said that too. You just pinned that. That was Brad that said that. Top 4.
Yeah, I don't either. You have a 1-loss Oregon and an undefeated Washington. Whoever wins that's getting in. They have to.
Yeah,
And Oregon's only loss was to Washington. So
Yeah.
by a last-second field goal, and they had over 500 yards of offense in that game. Like that's why I go back to this game could be a blowout. Like you said, Troy. Like usually the second time around in a rematch, it's not close.
Yeah.
I mean, you get those rare occasions where they are, which is even more exciting. But for the most part, it's usually a runaway.
Yeah, you lose to a team, a rival or something, 0 chance Bama gets in this weekend. Was that Ben?
It's not, but there's one more game I want to touch on, even though it's not the MAC. Sorry, MAC fans, I'm not going to talk about that game. But there is one tradition in college football that I personally love, and I know a lot of other people do. I know that TJ also loves. Army-Navy are playing this weekend for a bowl-eligible spot.
Next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's December 9th. It's always my birthday weekend.
Okay, fine. So December 9th. Who do you got, TJ? And tell me why Navy's going to win.
So, okay, I'll be honest with you. The buzz around Annapolis is that.
Who do you got, TJ? And tell me why Navy's going to win.
Sorry, fellas. That was me.
Who do I got this weekend? Or next weekend?
Yeah.
Oh. Navy played a hard-fought game for senior day. They played really well at SMU. haven't really watched too much of Army, so I'm going to say this is Navy's year to win it. They will sing second, and the Navy blue and gold will be glorious to hear second. It's going to be, I say it's going to be 24-21, last second field goal, and Navy's going to get the Commander-in-Chief's trophy as well.
Okay. Anyone else have a take on this game? I don't know if you guys follow these teams at all.
I don't. I just think it's funny that
I
TJ's such a
just-
Navy homer. He thought they were going to beat Notre Dame at the beginning of the year.
God. I just root for Army because I'm an Army brat. So
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'm going to kick it back over to Papa Bacon here with the NFL, and we can start rolling for some of those games.
Yeah, so let's go back to last week's games before we do our preview and picks for this week's. Hold on, let me pull them up here so I can. Yeah, week 12. There we go.
All right, can I start off by saying one thing?
Yeah.
You already did.
Brandon, how the fuck did the Patriots lose to a backup? And Tony DeVito at that one.
bro, I'm telling you, and I've said this from the beginning. I hope we go 2-15 or 2-16, whatever it is, to just lock the number 2 pick, go get Marvin Harrison Jr., fire everybody, start over with young stars, please.
Who's going to throw him the ball, though?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
But Marvin Harrison
This
just
is-
said today he may not come out. That's how the bowl
Yeah.
season plays out. He may not come
Yep.
out this year in the draft.
Oh, he's gonna
Anyway.
come out.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
probably-
is he a senior? I'm sorry, is he a
He's a
junior this
junior.
year?
He's a junior.
Okay.
He's a junior.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Well,
not going to
yeah,
want
I
to
mean-
come out if the Bears have the number 1 pick.
I don't think Caleb still goes number 1.
You do?
No,
Yeah.
I think Caleb Williams
don't.
is
Yeah.
one of the most
He don't have
overrated
he doesn't have a
players.
team around him though. You look at like when they started playing, it's kind of like Colorado was, when they were playing these, these younger, or
Drunks.
not younger, but weaker colleges. Like they were, of course, they're going to show out against them. But you started to see their real team as the season went along. But Caleb Williams stayed Caleb Williams. Like the kid still balled out with an offense that couldn't protect anything, and a defense with a pass defense that was horrendous. None of them knew how to tackle. Like that was an abysmal team that Caleb played with. But I still think he goes number 1.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Plus, waiting to happen.
to me, I just think he's one of the most overrated.
Yeah,
Players
I
that's
think
come
he's
out in a
showing
while,
too much
but-
immaturity and stuff like that, and I think that might scare some people too. So
Yeah. Well, and I heard, now I don't know, I didn't actually hear him say this, but I had heard, I think somebody else said that he supposedly wants, whatever team drafts him, wants to get like a stake in the team. And I'm like, what are you, an idiot? If that is the case, if that's actually true, I hope somebody just looks at him and just slaps him across the head. I don't really know what the hell
there's no
he's
way
saying
that's
there. But
happening.
no, absolutely not. So are we? Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say that's. So
Here's
yeah,
their
we'll
game
talk
of the
first. Talk first.
No
about-
one cares about that damn game. It was luck.
Oh,
straight
shut
luck.
up, TJ.
That
Oh,
is the worst. I fell asleep during that game. That's how bad it was on Thanksgiving. I took
Yeah.
a that game. It sucked.
Oh my goodness, that was
Okay.
fun to watch. Jordan Love was
mute. We're gonna mute
to see
TJ
them
here
do
for a
that
minute.
to Detroit. Whew.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then so Ben, what were your thoughts on that? I mean, I guess going back, I think I was on the show last week. We talked about it, and I said I just wanted them to keep it close, especially with all the injuries. And I got to admit, I was shocked that the Packers, won the game. So what are your thoughts on it first, Ben?
Well, look, the one of the things that Aaron's been calling for all season, that we've heard him say how many times, Matt, stop sticking to the script the first 20 plays of the game. Like, just cut loose. They cut loose. There's no way around that. They cut loose in this
Mhm.
Lions game, and it showed. And we finally
Yep.
scored points in the first half. So look, the Packers came out swinging. It showed. It was fun to watch. Held on in the second half. They still made it closer than it should have been. The Lions are a better team. Look, I'm not kidding myself. They're a better team right now. They have more talent right now than we have. We have young talent that's developing, but props to our guys. They came out and they played on a short week, a tough matchup. I mean, look, it's fun to look at this. And again, our schedule sets up favorably for us. And the irony is the Lions are going to help us out because they play the Vikings twice. So
Yeah.
it plays in our favor right now. This isn't a Packers show, so I'm not going to keep going on that line. But Jordan Love looked good. And A.J. Dillon finally looked good. We waited for this all year.
Yep.
And the defense played up. Carrington Valentine, by the way, is a name I want to throw out there. Is just a name to watch for people. This is a late draft pick. Kid out of Kentucky that's playing out of his mind. People were mad when we traded Rasul Douglas to the Bills, who's also playing well, by the way. Great week this past week.
Yeah.
But Valentine has been, I think he's like the second best cornerback graded since the trade of Rasul Douglas in the league by PFF, something ridiculous like that. So one of those cool things, seeing a young player step up and show out. So I couldn't be happier that way. Again, these things are going to have ebbs and flows. That's the nature of having a young team. But no, I'm thrilled.
Well, yeah, and I think they have like don't the Packers have like three rookies right now in their defensive backfield with all the injuries with like Jair Alexander and or is it two rookies? I don't remember what it is, but I mean they're getting plenty of time to getting thrown into the fire there. That's for sure.
Well, how about Jonathan Owens? The guy started off as a backup first year. He's been making big play after big play after big play this last month.
Yep.
I mean, it's the funny part, and I know people who aren't from this area, you wouldn't see these headlines, but Packers fans were joking around with Simone Biles is a better celebrity than Taylor. At least she's won gold medals that mean something. But it's anyway. No, look, it's fun to see. It's encouraging for us. We've got football that's actually worth watching. So I'll take it, man. Like, look, I'm not kidding myself. I don't win a Super Bowl, but it's fun to watch football. So I'll take it's progress. That's all I ask for. It's progress.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the next one here. Did anybody want to? I mean, Troy, did you want to say anything about that game, or I don't want to like take it away from anybody, but I figured you'll have some stuff to say about the Bills.
No, I mean it's what I expected it to be. Dallas has got a good team. I mean, they do. It's can they get over that little bugaboo they have when they get to the playoffs or when they have a big game and then they seem to choke it away, and that seems to always be their calling card. But that defense is unbelievable, and even losing Trayvon Diggs, this Deron Bland comes in and he's lighting stuff up, although he's getting torched a little bit tonight. But I mean, what, 5 pick sixes? Is that what he's up to, TJ?
I think he's up to 5. Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. So I mean, that's what I thought it would be. I didn't see Washington giving them much of a fight. The only thing I had thought maybe was that it's Thanksgiving. This is going to be their Super Bowl, so maybe they'll, give them a little bit of a run. But other than that, that's the only way I saw this game being close.
Yeah. TJ, what were your thoughts on the game?
Honestly, I was hoping Washington would actually put up a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah.
I was a little upset, but at the same time, it was fun to see Dallas win on Thanksgiving in Dallas. I kind of like the thoroughbreds that they were wearing. It was kind of cool to see that as well. So yeah, it was fun to watch. I mean, nightcap game it was mid game. The nightcap was 49ers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So midday game, kind of cool to watch. You're stuffed a little bit. You're kind of laying on the couch. I know a lot of people slept on that game, which is fine, especially around here because Commanders fans just sleep on the games in general. Nobody even wants to watch that anymore. So yeah, I mean it was great, but I don't know. Dallas ain't looking too hot tonight, so it's a little questionable right now.
Right, Brandon, what were your thoughts on the Cowboys game?
Yeah, I thought it was the same. I thought it was exactly what it was going to be.
Yeah.
If Dallas is playing a weaker opponent than them, they should do what they've been doing and just railroad them, which is exactly what happened. And then now you're seeing who the Cowboys are against teams with winning records and then are in playoff hunts. It's just the same. I mean, they're still not out of this game, but we'll be able to see who Dak really is with these next few games and who the Cowboys really are. So
Yeah, for sure.
it was the same game, like I said, that I thought it was going to be, and I think
What is
everybody thought it was going to be.
Is it Seattle, Philly, and then Buffalo for them, right?
Yep.
Seattle,
Yeah.
Philly, Buffalo, and then we have Miami, like right after Buffalo.
Oh, that's a tough little stretch here.
Nah, I'm not too worried about one of those teams.
Yeah, Miami, I know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry too much about Buffalo either.
All right. So the nightcap for Thanksgiving was we had the Niners and Seahawks. Ben, what were your thoughts on this one? Are the Niners running away with the division, or were you expecting? I was expecting Seattle to put up a little bit better of a fight, but
Yeah.
The Seahawks are still going to be around. They're still going to fight for it. But I think right now what you're seeing is Geno Smith's come back to earth a little bit. Great night tonight so far. Good for him there.
yeah,
But Kenneth Walker's banged up. You're seeing a little bit of the spark the Seahawks had last year is not quite as bright this year. The Niners are good, man. Like, especially with their addition of Chase Young in that defense. You put Bosa and Chase Young rushing the passer. There's so much going on both sides of the ball. I said before the season started, I have a hard time picking against the Niners. Like, this is a case of Purdy's playing well, don't get me wrong, but he might be that next Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco, Eli Manning winning a Super Bowl if this is how it keeps going. Like, he's not – this is not a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady. This is the guy who could be doing something with from a much, much, much weaker position. So, no.
I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, too, when we were talking about this, but do you think it's like, isn't this the exact same way Brady started, though? The exact same way? Like, relying on defense, managing the game, not doing anything stupid, not turning the ball over, relying on the run game. And then all of a sudden, boom, he blew up. What could possibly make him not be just like Brady turned out to be, and all of a sudden he's turning into a slinger?
Man, he could, but it's a spot where I'm sure it's like not going to call a guy in a second year.
No. I'm not saying he's Brady. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
right.
It's the same path right now.
You're right. You're right, but it's also a spot of looking at what we have right now. You have the right formula for a guy. Elite running back. Very versatile prototype wide receivers with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. You have an elite tight end in George Kittle.
Yep.
You have a very strong defense.
Yeah, but you can't pin it on the kid for having those. I mean, we saw what he had. I mean, when they had Jimmy G, they had a good squad, and Jimmy G could still get it done. Like, this team is a lot different with Purdy. Playing, like these,
they're
boys,
more explosive. They're more explosive with Purdy than they were with Jimmy, definitely.
And Purdy is doing exactly what Brady did in his early ages. Just don't be careless with the ball. Get the ball to your stars on the team, and let them make the plays. Don't do anything crazy that don't get out of your comfort zone. We will get plays for you. And Kyle Shanahan's is just, and he's a guru on offense.
Yeah, he's a great
this
play
guy.
caller for sure. Yeah.
This guy, I think him and Purdy, and he's got him young, and that's the best part for this kid is he's got Shanahan, that he's young, he's still learning, and this team is when all of them are healthy, these boys are different.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't lost when they're all healthy.
Okay, some of these games were trash this weekend, including that Giants and New England game. So I'm not even gonna talk about that. I did want to talk about this one, the Jaguars and Texans. Ben, did you get a chance to watch that game, and what were your thoughts on that one?
And the Jags and Texans both, to me, in this game, both showed me that they're legit. These are playoff teams. CJ Stroud, I was wrong about. This guy can play football. And DeMeco Ryans a good head coach. This guy he's got these guys playing well. Doug Peterson's got the Jags going the right direction as well too. The Jags are very inconsistent in terms of how they're playing offensively, which is interesting. With Trevor Lawrence, I think I want to see more from him. It's in that spot where, man, you should be coming along for than you are right now. But no, overall, the Jags did enough to win. That defense is coming around well. It's not quite Saxonville yet, again, but it's look, Duval is coming around.
Well, and the field goal though, I so wanted them to make that field goal just because I was enjoying that game, and I'm like, come on, let's keep this going. I want to see it go into overtime. And then to miss it the way he did, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But Troy, what were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, it's a great game. You feel bad for the kid. Like he's only been on the team 2 or 3 weeks, so come in trying to nail a game winner from a shot that's out of his comfort zone, obviously, and he couldn't even make it there in a domed environment. So, they're both good teams. They're both deserving of being in the playoffs. I'm a little surprised that this division is a little bit tougher and closer than I thought it was going to be. The Colts are right there hanging in there. They're in a playoff spot right now.
Yep.
It's crazy. And TJ and I were the only ones that seen a little bit of faith and a little bit of hope in the Texans before the season started. So I didn't quite see him doing as well as he did, but I did see him fighting for 6 to 7 wins, something like that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they're there already. So
TJ, did you get a chance to watch the Jags Texans game?
I did not. I was a little too busy with a broken down car.
Oh, hey, good stuff. Good stuff. Brandon, how about you? Did you get a chance to watch that game?
Yeah, I watched bits and highlights. It's definitely it's nice seeing the Jags look like the Jags again, considering who they have for a team. And it was nice seeing Trevor Lawrence. I think they needed that game. Well, the Texans played really well too. For what that game was. Both quarterbacks. That CJ Stroud he's unbelievable for a rookie. The way he can process stuff, and he's not afraid to sling it. It's fun to watch. That game, the highlights were fun to watch of that.
For sure. Okay, so let's now we don't have a banner for this one, but Troy, what were your thoughts on the Bills Eagles game? I was watching that game, and we had just gotten home. I think right around halftime we were up north with my wife's side of the family for Thanksgiving. So when I saw how the Bills were playing, it was like, wow, they might actually pull this one off. And then of course the Eagles came back. What were your thoughts on where the Bills are at right now and how they played that game? Do you want to just move on, Troy?
No, it's okay.
Okay,
it's
right.
okay. It was a good game. It was a really good game. I know you're going to hear sour grapes, all that kind of fun stuff, because I'm going to say that the officiating was poor and it felt one-sided. But I think even people that aren't a fan of either team in that game agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think all in all, it didn't really end up mattering. They still had a chance to win it in overtime. They didn't. They had a miscommunication there. And conservative coaching, I think that hurt them too. That was just I don't know why. Maybe I do, because their head coach is a former defensive coordinator, and he feels like he's going to rely on his defense more than he wants to rely on his offense. But you can do that when you have a regular average quarterback. But when you had Allen was slinging it, and he has 20 seconds on the clock and 1 timeout, which he should have had 2. They shouldn't even ice the kicker there. I don't know why they did. They could have had 20 seconds and 2 timeouts. You're telling me he can't get you 30 yards and at least give you a shot at a field goal there?
Yeah.
That was so conservative to play for overtime there.
Who do you think that miscommunication was on? Do you think that's on Allen, or do you think that's on Gabe?
So I listened to a few podcasts, and the one guy does the all 22 breakdown, and he actually blamed it on Allen. He said according to the press, to the coverage leverage, that the way he saw the leverage, Davis should have ran to the pylon instead of running to the post, and that's exactly where he ran. And,
right, but if you're Gabe, why do you need to run the post? You already beat the guy. You're already by him. Just keep going. At that point, you don't need to go to the post.
Yeah.
You know, if that guy is more on you, you know, and he's on your hip, then yeah, go to the post. But why are you breaking to the post when you already beat the guy?
Well, no, he didn't break to the post. He broke to the pylon.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, you're saying why not just keep going straight?
Yeah.
Because you
just
were already
keep
past
going.
him. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
So,
because then you could
that's
adjust to the ball wherever it is.
I
Yeah.
think Josh was seeing the same thing. Like, oh, Gabe, you have him. Like, just keep
Yeah.
going. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the winner. And then, you know, it's unfortunate the way it happened, but
Yeah. Bummer. And then
I think Buffalo needed that game too. Even though they lost, I think you take
they
more
definitely did.
for
I mean,
that.
but for their playoff hopes, if you are going to lose, I mean, you'd rather it be a non-conference opponent, which it was. So that at least keeps them in the hunt there a little bit. But that offense looks totally different there under Joe Brady than it did under Dorsey, though. That's for darn sure. So I think they might have found something there. And I'm even petitioning right now. I've been saying this all week, and I've been behind McDermott because I think I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because he was the one that kind of came in, changed the culture, got them into a serious contender every year, all that type of thing. But I think he might have taken them as far as he can take them. And I wouldn't mind seeing Joe Brady as the head coach, to be honest with you.
Well, and I think maybe it was Sunday night, Troy. I don't know if you remember. I think I messaged you, or I messaged the group, but I tagged you in it saying, you know, can you see a scenario where McDermott is gone? And I guess that was kind of where I was going with it. It is a sense that, you know, are the Bills right now in the same spot that say the Chicago Bulls were in with Doug Collins, where you know what, they were making the playoffs, but they had to make a change. They bring in Phil Jackson, and the rest is history. You know, is there somebody else they can bring in where to get them over that hump before you lose Josh Allen? And I know there's a lot of people that are down on Josh Allen right now, and you know they have points, you know, that are valid, but I mean you're still not going to find anybody better now.
He's the ultimate gunslinger. You guys were with it with Green Bay with Favre. It's exactly what it is. Sure. He's going to put the ball in harmful places. He's going to do it sometimes. He's going to try to make a play. He's going to,
in fact, I was
Superman.
thinking. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I can't remember if it was this week or the week before when I was watching the Bills, and I thought, you know, he reminds me so much of a bigger, like from a physical standpoint, he's bigger than Favre was, but his mentality reminds me of that. Like you're just going to throw one or two stupid passes a game.
People are so quick to point out, you know, he leads the league in turnover since he's been in the league, all that kind of stuff. He also leads the league in touchdowns since he's been in the league too. So I mean,
well, and I think right now isn't he second in the league in completion percentage and things like that too? So
he's up there.
It's not all bad, you know.
But at what point do we take these? Like, you have to win these games, though.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
At what point do we have to bring that into the conversation of like how we judge Allen? Like, at some point, you have to win these games. Like,
but I will say, when he's leaving the field, for the most part, he's leaving the field with his team ahead. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I like that Kansas City game. I just don't understand still to this day how you play sideline and don't get any hands on Tyreek Hill.
They have 2 timeouts. What are you doing?
I don't understand that concept.
Yep, I agree. You jam that guy and you hold him up as long as you can, even if you take a holding penalty.
And you're in the Super Bowl. That's all. Like, that's the main guy you have to make, the fastest man on earth besides Usain Bolt. Like, you don't even put any hands on. You just let him run. You're like, oh, here, like free range.
20 yards off the line of scrimmage. Go for it.
Here you go. Just take your meal and just run off. Like,
yeah, that was ridiculous. No, I agree. That was insane. But I don't know. I've been on record when they lost. Even when they beat the Jets last week, I said I don't think they're making the playoffs. So just because of the way the schedule lays out, because of the way the teams ahead of them schedule lays out, I don't think they're going to make it. I think their only shot is to win out and hope Miami loses their last 3 because they have a pretty tough stretch at the end, which is.
So you don't think they're even making you don't even think they're getting a wild card?
No.
Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
I think their best shot to get in is to win the division.
Yeah, I think that's the only option too.
Huh. Okay.
Because they're 2 behind Miami right now. So if they would win out, Miami ends the season with Baltimore, Dallas, and then Buffalo. So if Buffalo wins up to week 18 and Miami loses back-to-back to Baltimore and Dallas, that week 18 game is the division game to win the division.
Okay. Ben,
So-
were you going to say something there? Or?
Yeah, I think Buffalo's cooked.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting it.
I hate to be. I'm not trying to be negative to Troy. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just. The more I looked at the rest of the season, Buffalo's just made their bet. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
the
they
AFC
did.
is too tough this year, and
Yep.
the Steelers have been given a playoff spot by the league already.
That schedule is ridiculous. I can't believe their schedule at the end of the year is softer than it was at the beginning, and all the teams they played at the beginning that were tough, they still hadn't found themselves. So it was,
But even beyond that, though, I'll use it again, sour grapes or whatever. But we talked about the Packers Steelers game too. Even those of you guys who don't like the Packers can admit that was some really bad officiating there too. It just doesn't make sense. We're just like this is beyond logic, and that's the thing that I said. That I'm not saying the NFL is fixed, but I am saying the refs do try sometimes.
yeah,
And
I
that's
agree.
becoming very, very evident.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm looking at this and saying it's Pittsburgh is a draw, and Pittsburgh has the division set, the table set for them now. The Browns are down to, DTR as a quarterback or PJ
Joe
Walker.
Flacco, sir.
Oh yeah,
that's right,
did
Joe
they announce him
Flacco.
starting this week? They announced he's starting this week. You're kidding me.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
but look,
That's where I
the
think
Bengals are down to the Browning, which was embarrassing.
Yep.
So the Steelers are going to be a wild card. The Ravens are going to win the division. The Steelers are going to be a wild card. That's spoken for. The
Is
Chiefs
it?
are winning.
Is it?
I don't know. Pittsburgh's, I think, looking.
Their
they're gonna
schedule
look-
is cake.
they're-
And if
they're
they
gonna
upset Baltimore, they could win that division.
They're going to look different now. I
I'm
think
telling
with
you.
this offensive coordinator, and they got rid of
Matt Canada.
Canada, yeah.
Canada. Like they didn't. How many games was it that they didn't put up 400 yards? Like that's unreal.
Yeah, it was like 56 games or
That's
something. Yeah.
unreal for a professional NFL team to go, especially a Mike Tomlin team. And then they do this the first game. Like Kenny Pickett balled, and people were bragging on him, because they were playing horrible, and he was playing horrible too. But Canada's drawing these plays up for him. Like, what do you let this kid fly? He just had a phenomenal, a good rookie season. Like,
Although I don't know what's going on with Deontay Johnson in that locker room, though.
Right.
get rid of him. They need to do away with him.
What is going on with him? He's not even putting effort out there on
he's gonna
blocks.
be
He's
a-
not going for fumbles.
He's going to be a cancer like AB was late in his career.
You got to get rid of that. I would have sat him at halftime and he wouldn't have played the rest of the game.
You can't unteach that.
Right.
That was bad. I saw that. We were in a Texas Roadhouse and saw this happening. I'm like, he just fumbled that ball. He's just sitting there watching it. It went
Yeah,
right by
and-
him, and then the guy that he was supposed to be blocking was the one that picked it up.
And his teammates running by him, like slapping him on the arm, like, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
Well, here's my kind of surprise that Gardner Minshew is going to take the Colts. This is either Gardner Minshew with the Colts or the Broncos are going to slip in with Sean Payton and the revival of Russell Wilson into that 7th seed in the AFC.
Sounds
And-
demanding.
And I feel for the Bills because the Bills are better than both those teams.
I don't feel for them. They did it to
they're
themselves.
better. The Bills are better.
Oh, they're
But they're
better,
not.
but they did it themselves. They put themselves in that
Right.
position. Yeah,
Their
I agree.
window was last year. Their
What's
window,
that?
their window was last year. Like they had to get
I don't agree. I don't agree with Windows. I don't agree. I don't think so.
the AFC is caught up fast.
Who would have thought we'd be in a position this year where the Chiefs look beatable? Burrow's hurt. You know what I mean? Like,
You kind of saw that a little bit last year, though. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs won, but they showed that they're not the same offense without Tyreek Hill. Like you can get to Mahomes.
I can't see anybody. Did somebody join us? I
Your
don't
hat
see-
is ugly.
Did somebody just say the Chiefs look beatable? Did somebody literally just get on here and say they don't believe in Windows? Did somebody in here just say that the Bills are better than anybody? No.
I didn't say they were better than anybody.
You did. You said they were better. You said they were better than Denver. You said
They
that
are.
they don't look like it.
They do
don't
now.
look like it.
They do now.
They look like they got a wide receiver and a
They
quarterback
didn't 3
that
weeks
aren't on
ago.
the
They
same
do
page.
now.
They look like
Put on your
a
hat.
team. Let's go, TJ. What we about? you got to look at your Bills and under a fine tooth comb and find all the little problems, and you can fix those. But there's huge problems in your locker room with some guys that don't want to be there. I'm looking at Stephon Diggs. If he doesn't get into the playoffs, he's leaving. He's leaving. That's his MO. He wants to win. He wants to win now. He's not going to put up with it. Your
I would agree with you only for the fact that you can't get out of his contract. You can't get out of it.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and he'll be in Dallas come the season start next year. You could, yeah, put that on a pillow. You could write that. And how dare you? How dare you say that the Chiefs are beatable?
How many losses do they have?
Yeah, sure, okay,
They're beatable.
yeah, they're beatable. But have you looked at the calendar? He's Mr. November. We're going into December. The weather's changing. He loves the snow games. King Patrick Mahomes is going to roller coaster ride through, having so much fun the rest of the way.
Even you admit that wide receiving core is letting him down big time.
Big time. And who came out? And who came up? The old man Travis came out last week and said, all right, guys, let's do it. Whoa, slap in the face, 14-point lead. Hey, guys, we haven't lost in this building ever. Let's wake up. Let's take it to them. We got a touchdown? We got a touchdown, TJ?
No, Bland just got another pick.
Not a 6, though.
To the house?
Not a 6, but he got a pick.
Oh, that's
Hey, Marco, by the way, it's got a little call here for you. Matt LaFleur is 50-0 in December games since he's been the head coach for the Green Bay Packers. Just
What?
throwing it out there to you, something's got to give here. So your boys are coming into a hot Green Bay team. You want to come in and spit and fire? I'll return serve, buddy. Let's go. Let's freaking go. All right. So
I'm going to Lambeau. I'm coming up there. Yes, I am. I got the permission slip signed. Everything's good to go. I just got a couple logistical things to take care of. But your boy is on his way up to Green Bay for a Dads with Bacon special. Chiefs v. Packers. Get the Coors Light ready, fellas. I'm coming in.
Coors Light. Get the Coors Light, the silver bullet.
They drink Blue Moon. We drink Blue Moon at the stadium, right? Come on now.
Hold the orange. Don't fruit.
Oh yeah, it's in
don't
cans.
fruit my lager.
It's in cans, so you can't really put the orange in there. It's kind of hard to shove the orange in the can. But all right, so okay, well let's get your thoughts here, Marco, on the game. We're gonna go over like 3 games because they're kind of running a little bit long, and I also wanted to talk a little bit before we left about wrestling this past weekend because I know in the chat there was some fire being thrown back and forth about CM Punk and all that other stuff. So I thought it might be interesting for you guys to go off on that. But Marco, what are your thoughts on the game this weekend?
The running game that came out in the first half of the not the Raider game, but the week prior is something that I think Andy Reid is kind of the Andy Reid's kind of keeping not under wraps, but he definitely knows that if he needs to pound on the ground, he's got it. Hilaire has really shown the professionalism of a running back that knows that he's playing for a contract, and between the tackles, he's as tough to bring down as Pacheco. And Pacheco is just a beast. He's just a beast. So I think, when you're going into bad weather games like we're looking at this weekend, when you're going into the months of December and January, and you're going to need, you can't, sling the ball around for 300 yards. And for whatever reason, Matt Nagy, we haven't been slinging the ball around for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. We're going to find a way. We're going to find a way to win. Also, Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is that guy. He needs more snaps. He needs to take snaps away from Tony. He needs to be out there, 80% of the time because he's wide receiver number 1 in Kansas City. And so just keep feeding him. And like all of them, he's got some drops. He had 2 again this past weekend. Fine. Just keep lighting them up. Keep lighting them up.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's their best receiver on that team right now. I agree. And 2 things you mentioned Pacheco. Number 1, who he reminds me of, a team that's playing here right now is Marion Barber. Remember him?
Yeah.
Boy, he reminds me of him when he runs. That's exactly who he reminds me of. And secondly, Was there a guy in this room that we're in right now that said that Pacheco was not going to have a very good season this year? Was that?
I can't really point that way. On the
Is
far end,
Is
Wearing
that guy?
a lot of red. I think a lot of
Is that
red.
it's the red Teletubby on the far end.
Pacheco is still a bum.
Oh,
Oh!
okay.
I'll stand by it. Pacheco is still a bum. He's still not that good.
Yeah.
If you put him in another offense, he's still a bum.
Baloney, man. That guy moves piles, man. All right. Tush push with Hurts or tush push with Pacheco, who gets more yards?
Hurts.
Pacheco.
Hurts.
I think Hurts can get in. Pacheco will get in. I think Isaiah pushes you give him a rugby scrum with Pacheco on one side and Hurts on the other. Which pile moves further?
Didn't they do that at like the 3-yard line? That's how Jalen scored.
They weren't. I think it was like
two.
I think it was like the 1.5.
2 or 3
It was like the
yard
1.5. Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
usually the tush push is only like
Yeah.
a freaking inches when they go for it.
Which,
I mean, they got that. They got quite a bit of movement out of that convincingly.
4.2 yards per carry and 5 TDs on a offense that throws the ball and has been struggling in the red zone. I think he's doing all right. I don't think for a second-year guy, those are some pretty good numbers for.
took over the number 1 role.
Yeah. Pacheco's a beast.
Okay, let's go on to another game that's actually a decent game now.
Can you believe
it
that
wasn't
this game
it wasn't
for
2
playoff
months ago, but
implications?
yeah, no kidding. Brian, we got the Broncos at the Texans. Texans favored by 3, over and under 40, 40.5. TJ, we haven't been talking to you a whole lot in the last 15 minutes or so, but
He's watching the game.
what are your? I know you're watching the game. I know you're. What are your thoughts on the Broncos Texans?
Honestly, I think this is going to be. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be the game where, is this truly Sean Payton's first season of being back as a coach, making the playoffs, or is this the game where CJ Stroud solidifies hey, I'm not a scrub. I'm here to really play.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to actually watch this game. Honestly, I think I've got Houston. I take the points, and I think I'm gonna take the under on this one. I think it's gonna be really, really close. I don't think it's gonna be much of a scoring battle as I would want it to be. I think it's gonna be more defensively. I think D'Amico Ryans is gonna be kind of throwing the kitchen sink at Sean Payton, telling him to get out of here. So honestly, I say it's definitely gonna be under 40. I say it's gonna be maybe 13-10.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you think that much of a defensive struggle, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Troy, how about you?
I can't believe the turnaround the Broncos defense has made.
I
First of
know.
all. I mean, how do you go from giving up 70 points, and now I don't know that they've given up 70 points in their last 6 games?
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I don't know what's going to happen here. I think I'm leaning with TJ that it is going to be more of a defensive game, just because of the way the Broncos defense has been playing. I don't think it's going to be quite as low as what he has it there. What he said, 13-10. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Man, for some reason, I think the Broncos are going to sneak this out. Let's say 2017.
Okay. All right. Brandon, how about you?
I think this could be a game like we're seeing tonight. I think this could be an over 40, over 40 game. These two teams have been playing good. The Broncos, I don't know what got into them, what gear they did, whatever they found, it's working.
Bounties.
And I think it's a lot on them not asking Russ to do a whole lot early.
Yeah.
They get him in these manageable third downs, and they just let him be Russ at that point, and it's working. And this is going to be another good game to watch.
Well, what's ironic when you mention that, and kind of looking at the game tonight with Seattle, I heard somebody say, I think it was on the pregame show last week, that they were talking about the turnaround for the Broncos, and they said from an offensive standpoint, basically Russell Wilson has bought into what Sean Payton wants him to do, which was exactly what Pete Carroll wanted him to do, and he refused. Like he just kept fighting with Carroll the entire time, which is why he had to leave, which I just find hilarious. So Pete Carroll was right, but Russ was just, his ego was too big to actually listen to Pete Carroll. So go. I'm sorry, Brandon. I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish your.
No, you're good. You're good. He wanted to be Super Bowl Russ, and it was just he was not that player anymore. He needed to be this guy, like you said, that he's finally accepted this role, and which is still like you're still putting up good numbers, like you're still winning, even doing this. So, like, I'm glad they bought in. Because this team was one of the teams I think everybody was waiting for. This to hey, this was what the Broncos needed. They needed a QB. They have young talent. They had a good defense, and they started out slow. They had a really rough patch, but I think now they finally hit what everybody was expecting, and they're a lot of fun to watch. And yeah, that's gonna be another fun game.
A late flag.
Yeah. How about Ben? How about you?
Yeah, this is a race to 20. I have the over here. I think it's to be like a 24-17. I think it's a very similar game to what we saw with the Jags and Texans last week. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be kind of that trading punches a little bit. But I think the Texans win this one. I think they lose 2 in a row at home. I think you see it. I'm going 24-17 Texans.
Okay.
With statement win for the Texans to keep their playoff hopes or playoff positioning. So.
Marco, how about you? What do you think?
So I like the score, but I have a different outcome. I got Denver continuing their play of defense holding teams, at 20 or below. And I think CJ is going to have a bit of a problem with what Sean Payton's going to draw up on defense. So he doesn't get shut out. They do score maybe another touchdown in garbage time, but I think it'll be like a 24-17 and not as close as the score would dictate.
Okay. All right. Last game here, and then like I said, we'll touch a little bit on some wrestling. Hold on one second. Okay, so we got San Francisco and the Eagles rematch of the NFC Championship game from last year in Philadelphia again, like it was last year. So Troy, we'll start with you for this one. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it? Who do you pick for this one?
I'm excited to watch this game. I think it's going to be a good game. A lot of talking going on, specifically after last year when Purdy got hurt. Everybody said that was the only reason the Eagles won is because Purdy got hurt. Blah blah blah. And don't think the Eagles aren't using that as the bulletin board material. They definitely are. They're remembering that. They're remembering that everybody said that. That being said, I still think the Niners are playing better right now. I still think they're the better team than the Eagles. And I think the Niners are going to go in here and win this game. But I know it's only 2.5 point line, but I don't even think I think this is going to be like a 1 point game. This is going to be like a 31-30 game.
Okay. All right. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is a game that's is going to have a lot of impact, I think, moving forward for the rest of the season. I think the Niners are the better team. I think the Eagles, I just don't know how long you can have these really slow starts and get away with it. I know Jalen is that guy. This guy is just the amount of confidence he shows, even when he's playing a horrible first half. He comes back and he's like, no, I'm not letting that happen again. And I'm going to get my team in a position to win the ball game. And that's exactly what he did. I just don't think they can get away with these slow starts anymore. The Niners are showing again why when they have everybody playing, they are the best team in the NFL. And it was a shame that we didn't get to see this play out last year in the NFC Championship game with Purdy getting hurt.
That would have been a hell of a game. Yeah.
I think we missed out at a hell of a game. And I think that's really what has the Niners moving right now. And I think they're gonna win this game. I think it's gonna be a close one. I think it comes down to whoever has the ball last. With it being in Philly, you got Deshaun Jackson retiring. Like that place is gonna be rocking. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think San Francisco comes out.
All right, Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Niners got this one. It's look at the Eagles right now. They should have lost to the Bills. There's a number of games they should have lost early in the season. Even beyond that, I'm looking at Devontae Smith has been inconsistent and even absent a lot lately. You've had AJ Brown has been banged up and hurt. Swift has been on the injury report consistently too. So I feel like this is kind of that game where the Eagles are. I think that they're also aware this is the game they've got to worry about in the playoffs. So it's a little bit of a chess match right now. Do you really want to go crazy now, or do you want to save your game plan for when it matters? So, yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't mean to interrupt you, Ben, but the Eagles are what? Are they 9-1, 10-1?
10-1.
10-1. Are the Niners 10-3? So I mean, technically, even if the Eagles lose, they're still have the number one spot. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Go ahead, Ben, and finish your thought.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. Eagles fans don't take losses well at home, but I think that Sirianni also gets it, and it's one of those that I think that it means more to the Niners to win this game and keep themselves where they need to be and want to be. So yeah, I think the Niners win this game. I think it's a 2-score win.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Marco, how about you?
So it's going to be close. It'll probably come down to a field goal. But I think if the defense of the 49ers stays on track and the offensive line punches the Eagles' defensive line in the mouth, they can get out of hand fast. I think it's going to be the 49ers that are going to want to do ball control and eat the clock. And if they can run their game plan and do that, then the Niners will win. If not, if they give just a little bit of chance for the Eagles to strike, I mean, they're so quick to score too, man. Like and I think that 49ers look better now than they did in the beginning of the year. I'll take the Eagles at home, probably by a field goal.
Okay. TJ, why don't you wrap it up here, and we'll move on to wrestling real quick before we go.
Muted.
Oh, TJ, you're on mute, bud.
I got him. Whoop. Live TV. Here we go.
All right, we good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. So I think this is a very interesting game, and I'm going to kind of go back a week. Buffalo showed a lot of miscommunication with the Eagles. I think this is something that all teams are going to kind of watch towards the end of the season, because some of the best teams will crumble at the end of the season. Buffalo showed a little bit, of things here and there that Philly needs to work on. I think the 49ers are going to do the exact same thing. I think the 49ers are going to find something, they're going to exploit it, and then it's going to go for the rest of the season. 49ers are just hot, though. I mean, Brock Purdy, I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Brandon said. This is the game that everybody wanted to see. Brock Purdy healthy, coming into Philly and playing. I hope that this is the game where Brock Purdy looks at Philly, scores 5-6 touchdowns, goes to the fans and flicks them off and say, "Yeah, let's fight now." This is going to be a game where Brock Purdy just makes Philly hate him even more. So I've got the 49ers. I say it's going to be 35-21.
All right. So now let's hold on here. Now, Ben, Ben or Marco, this is live TV here. How do I get rid of the NFL review and preview on this?
It's a banner, or rather, it's under brands. I got you.
Oh, brands. Okay, all right.
Oh my gosh, can you catch it off?
So what are we talking about?
Oh, okay. So, let's like I said, you guys all
little
know
cult of personality.
I'm not the wrestling guy here, but I know there was a lot of chatter over the weekend about what was it? What was going on this weekend with
CM Punk. That's what I was
Yeah, the Survivor Series, okay, whatever. So
Ben's
Yeah.
favorite wrestler came back, and Ben was screaming like a little schoolgirl with pigtails.
So Ben, why don't you?
Clobbering time, Ben. It's clobbering time.
The hat's going on backwards. So what are your thoughts? Let's talk a little bit about the wrestling this weekend and just take a moment, since you're not on the hot take show on Tuesdays here. Let's take a moment to go off, and then everybody else can kind of sound off.
Hey
here.
Ben, I can
I
do
always
that
enjoy
too.
this is entertaining to me. The floor is yours, Ben.
What?
CM Punk, while you sit there, hopefully as uncomfortable as you possibly can be, I want you to listen to me. I want to digest this. Before I stop feeding the problem by talking more about you, I have a lot more I want to get off my chest. I don't hate you, Punk. I really dislike you. I really, really dislike you. I dislike you a hell of a lot more than I dislike most people in the IWC. But what I hate is the idea that you're the best. Because you're not. You're a jag. You convince people you speak the truth, but it's just another act. If there's one thing that you're the best at, it's convincing gullible marks that you actually care. Phil, you're as good at convincing marks that you care as Hogan. I don't know if you're as good as Dwayne, though. He's a pretty good mark magnet. Always was and still is. Whoops. Am I breaking the fourth wall? For those of you who don't realize this, that's my take on part of his pipe bomb he gave us a couple of years ago. But the reality of this comes back to CM Punk walked away from the fans that loved him. He chastised them, that famous pipe bomb speech that I was just parodying here a few seconds ago, for supporting people in the company that they loved, that paid his paycheck, because he was too self-absorbed and still is, has this messiah complex that he can't even take a moment to let time pass without just chasing attention. 9 years trying to avoid lacing up his boots to find attention somewhere other way. And even went as far as trying to think, oh, I can actually fight. No, you get your ass kicked, dude. Because you are actually a punk, Phil. You are a punk. You're a useless, messiah complex, narcissistic punk, POS, who needs to go away and do podcasts. Ta-da. I know my place, punk. Learn yours. And what I see here is a guy who's going to come in. He's going to keep running his mouth, taking the time from guys who deserve it, going to the company. And Seth talked about it in a house show over the weekend as well. He spent his time away trying to destroy this company while all these guys and gals who were there spent that time building to what it is now. And now Punk's can come back and profit off of that. What a piece of crap. You know, at the end of the day, I've had my feelings about CM Punk go for a lot of different reasons. He's a hypocrite. He's a liar. I mean, the guy that thinks that he walks on water. Punk, look, I don't like saying this about a lot of people, but you're a piece of shit. Just go away. I'm good, guys. Please take the floor. I'm gonna keep cussing about stuff.
Okay. Anyone else want to pipe in about CM Punk or any of the wrestling action over the weekend?
I think he should have went last. How do you top out?
No, but he's 100% right. So Punk's been gone for almost 10 years. His exit was one of listen to me, I know how to do things better. You're keeping down the little man and the young guys and promoting all the old guys. And now he's an old guy and he's come back to the same company that he said was doing it wrong. And why is he back? Because he was an asshole and he got fired for HR violations at his other job. But it's the dirty money, the need to sell and fill seats situation when you have a new company that's emerging from the merger of WWE and the UFC. So they don't care. They're not fans like Vince is a fan, but Vince McMahon is a different breed. He's up there with his Vince McMahon. I think when it's all said and done, is going to be right up there with Walt Disney in creative showmanship. I mean, you don't win awards for the shows that they put on, but wrestling can truly be a Tony Award winning show or whatever it is they give Broadway. Tony's might be musicals, but Oscar worthy type stuff. And he doesn't get the support of that. He doesn't get recognized for that because it's a traveling circus, because wrestling's fake. But it's not fake when you get fired for HR purposes or when you try to sabotage companies and do things for them to lose money. And then you want to come back and you want to be home. You want open arms. No, man, it's bullshit. And I don't like it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Ben, you'll probably know this because you follow AEW a lot better than I do. Didn't Punk say something similar when he came into AEW, that he can be himself now, or something?
Absolutely. Yeah. He tore down the other company, WWE, when he went there as well. Talk about how he has a chance to be himself, and he wants to come here to raise the young guys up.
Yeah.
And when the young guys didn't want to listen to him, he pitched a fit about it.
Yeah.
When the guys were saying, no, I got over on my own things, he got mad they wouldn't listen to him. He's just an egomaniac. It's absolutely crazy.
So the one thing I will say, the one defense of Punk I do have is Tony Khan created that. He let that happen. And shame on him for doing that, because you're bringing in a guy that supposedly he's a huge fan of him, right? So that's why he brings him in. And then he lets him do whatever he wants. He creates a whole new show for him. Like what is the guy? I mean, the guy was catering to him left and right. Of course the guy's going to try to take liberties.
But look, the guy, I can't deny this. And this is where my plan of my return to talking the show was to change my own character here. Because I have a point I want to make, and I'll use December for that. It's still November. I'm still my old self here. End of the day, Tony made money on Punk. Punk is still the leading sales in T-shirts for AEW. He is now the leading in merch sales for WWE at the same time. The man sells units. I don't deny that. Money-wise, the man sells. What I can't stand is, and I did go further into the pipe bomb, but I didn't want to go too. That's for another time in private. But it's Chicago degenerates worship this fool. Like he feeds into his delusions of grandeur. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
two things.
Please,
One, so kind of both on Marco's point. If he left because they kept promoting the old guys and not giving the young guys a chance, isn't that probably a reason why he came back? Because some of these young guys are getting these spotlights and they're doing really well with them. And the other point, if he's mad because the young guys at AEW aren't listening to him because he's had a lot more experience in doing that, trying to, I'm just trying to look at it like this aspect, because I haven't really dived deep into, all that personal BS. But if he's getting mad at these young guys at AEW because they're not listening to him and he's trying to help them out, and when he's coming back and saying he's home, I kind of feel like we're gonna see a better version of Punk, because he's almost like he doesn't have to worry about anything because he's gonna be a star. But these young guys that he wanted them to, help promote and get them into these big shows, they weren't doing. So now he doesn't have to worry about that. He doesn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And so the issue, to Marcus' point before, is that he's now the old guy taking that limelight from the young guys who were coming up and getting run. He is the old guy now. It's the opposite of what he used to speak out against. The other end of the day, I hear you and I get it. I hear what you're going for. It's just, it's not. I should wrote down what I was thinking there because I lost my thought there, but it's not reality. Marco, maybe you can help me with that. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not reality because the guys that are going to get bumped down, and I know they're a little long in the tooth as far as age guys go, but I think guys like Finn Balor are going to get buried because of this. I think guys like LA Knight are going to get buried because of this. And who's, because when these guys come in, that there's going to be some baked in title runs in their contracts. You have situations where they're going to go overseas to to the crown jewel, and they're going to have to win a big title over there or a big setup over there. And if you want to keep the stories going well, then you have to keep running with those stories. I just find it's just annoying to me. You know what? I want him to go find Billy Corrigan and get on YouTube and wrestle for the NWA. That's where he belongs.
Well, let me ask you this question: if you were Josh Dobbs and the Vikings signed Colin Kaepernick, would you listen to his advice? Colin Kaepernick played in the Super Bowl.
I guess it depends on where what the advice is. Like if it's on football, I would listen to him because he was a good player. Like we can't not think that Kaepernick wasn't a decent player because of all his political
He went from good to
crap.
decent.
Oh, he was terrible. He was terrible that final year. Are you kidding me? He was brutal. Pull up the 49er game against the Bears. Brutal. I think he had 6 completions. Yeah, no. Kaepernick was a.
My point here is that Punk walked away from the game for 9 years and wanted to hear his welcome back. Like anyone who walks away from something and says, "I'm gonna go away for a decade," and like unless you're Randy Couture and really kick everyone's ass in the process of coming back, like that doesn't happen. It's just not reality. I mean, you can't do that. And on top of that, while he was gone, he was working against the business in so many ways. So that's the problem that I have. It's not just the matter of you left us. It's you sought out our attention after insulting us. You tore down what we enjoyed, or try to tear down what we enjoyed, and then you try to come back and tell us how to enjoy what we already were enjoying. Like the arrogance is so insane, it makes me look innocent. That's for TJ, by the way. But he's not watching or listening right now. So no, at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's just that insane narcissism that I don't get it. I have close friends that are huge Punk marks. And look, I'm happy for those of you who are happy about Punk being back. I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely happy for those who are happy. I am not, but I will take joy in your joy because he's back whether I like it or not. And
yeah,
I think as long as he helps out, as long as he's like Cody Rhodes said, as long as he's hungry, I think it's gonna help this. It's gonna help them get back to what I used to like watching them for. I mean, there was a span where I stopped watching because it just wasn't there. Where Vince was going with everything was just not. It was so predictable and just not being fun to watch. And I think that's what Triple H really hit home was when he said that's what the fans wanted. And I think I think Triple H has done a good job at getting matches that people want to see. He's not afraid to hold some of these things back. And I think when he said, the fans wanted this, I think that showed that, hey, when those two came to talk, they were like, hey, I think both of them, like I said, in our group that, people change, and I think it's going to be fun. Hopefully it works out. And if it doesn't, then it just shows, again, like you guys say, who Punk really is. But,
Well, let me ask you guys this. The rumor right now is Punk Austin in Philadelphia for Mania.
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
That's the rumor.
I think they need to go Punk Rollins. I think they need to get that storyline over with.
If they're going to Philly, it's going to be The Rock.
So I think what we're seeing right now, I think that we're going to see
Punk The Rock?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get Randy Orton and Roman in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to deal with the Dean Priest and Judgment Day first, but he's very clear he wants to take care of the bloodline and all the remnants of that next, which will culminate with Mania, I think, with Randy Orton losing to Roman Reigns in Philadelphia.
Isn't it pretty much determined that Roman wants to take a break? And aren't they going to pull the belt off of it? Don't you think Mania would be the perfect time to pull the belt off of him?
Yes,
I think it is.
Yes.
But
I thought the LA Knight.
I thought we said that last Mania though, didn't we?
But Roman also he's already part-time. The guy's not working hard.
Right. Do you see his numbers of working have gone down dramatically?
I mean, we almost saw more.
I think Punk Austin, I don't think that does anything for anybody. I don't
I think
I don't think
Punk-
Austin.
you
I don't
need
think
to go
Austin can.
Punk Rollins.
I don't think Austin can perform a good show.
No.
I don't think he could. He might show up. He might be involved in some way. Maybe he's a special guest
I
referee.
thought he looked pretty damn good when he had that match with Owens. To be honest with you,
Look, I think it would
I'm
be
not
a
saying
10-minute
I'm not
match.
saying wrestling technique wise. I'm saying he's still.
That's a Mania moment, though, guys. That's the whole point.
Yes,
To me,
yes.
I'm okay with that. If he does that, I'm okay. If Punk's in a title match at Mania this year, that's when I'm mad. If you want to give us a sideshow with Punk, go ahead. I'm here for that. That's okay. But I do not want him in the title picture, especially in front of Cody or Priest or LA Knight or even Drew.
Here's one idea I had, and I don't know if I mentioned this with you guys in the chat or not. I thought it would have been a perfect opportunity. Like it or not, Punk is a pretty good mouthpiece. Why not have him come in, cost that match, join the Judgment Day, and be their voice, their vocal piece?
Because it takes down Rhea, and Rhea's hottest act right now.
Yeah.
You gotta let Rhea run.
Here's a wild scenario. So I think Punk is ultimately going to get it in a title match. I think it realistically should be the Rollins story because of how personal that is. And I think that would be like a Mania moment if CM Punk were to beat Seth Rollins, coming back and, the blood between those two and how that would all come out would be crazy. And I think I'm with you that you can't really leave Cody out of a title opportunity either. Which could you see a scenario where they go Reigns, Orton, and Cody in a triple threat at Mania with Cody pinning Randy with how much they've,
They could. But I think that what I think we're going to see, I think at Rumble we'll get the Seth and Punk right away. Put to bed is what I expect. I don't think we're going to see Punk in the Rumble. I think that we're going to see Cody, and I think we'll see a surprise winner in the Rumble this year. That we'll get to that in January. I don't want to bother myself in that one.
Okay, so don't you think, especially with everybody pretty much, I mean, even, Seth making it pretty public, he's not too happy about Punk being back, all that kind of stuff. Don't you think that could play out for more than just one live event, though?
Mm-hmm.
It will. That's where Elimination Chamber comes in, and there's other pieces you go into. I mean, the videos of him flipping off Punk are also already come out as a work shoot. I mean, that's very well established because Drew stormed off, left the arena outside of camera view, where Seth stayed there in camera view intentionally. So, like, Seth's, while it's real heat from Seth, it still worked. I mean, they're using it. They're easy for business.
That's funny that you brought that up, though, because I think everybody was saying when Drew stormed off, it was because he knew Punk was coming out. But supposedly, I don't know how true this is, but supposedly nobody knew he was coming.
Nobody knew.
They knew. So all the guys in that match were told before the match started that Punk was coming back. So that was reported by who was it?
Metzger?
It wasn't Meltzer. It was one of those guys, like one of the dirt sheet writers.
Johnson.
All those guys were told before the match, Punk will be coming out after the match is done. So that was not a surprise.
The only reason I brought that up, though, is because I thought it was interesting on Raw on Monday night when McIntyre came out, and he's portraying this character that he's basically disappointed in himself. He's disappointed in what he's become, all that kind of stuff. And the way he stormed off after that match when he left the Judgment Day, it kind of makes sense that the way he stormed off, he was pissed off at how everything went off. He's not happy with himself. And maybe that's why he stormed off. Maybe it really had nothing to do with Punk at all.
In the real side of things for Drew is apparently he's dealt with a personal loss very recently. So like he's dealing with some real life bad stuff. So that's not awesome, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll share the story here on the Facebook page later for both the. By the way, just a little quick plug is Cage Side Seats is one of my favorite places to go. They do a lot of good episode summaries as well as rumor reporting if you want to see some of the dirt sheet summaries there. But yeah, that's where I was reading stuff about. The guys were told in the main event this was happening. Now, I can say for myself, if I go through a War Games match and I get overshadowed by Punk coming back,
Yeah.
I'm livid. Like,
Yeah,
why
I
am I
thought
in
that
a
was
cage
I
match
thought
for
that was
40
poor
minutes?
timing too. I agree. I mean, it was cool that he comes out at the end of the show and you're going to get a big reaction. But that kind of pissed on the guys that just were in the match, though. I didn't think that was right.
The coolest part to me was the production piece of them putting the banners up to try and swerve us on the end of the show. When you saw the
The production,
they
this
did
is a
everything they
copyright. Yeah,
could.
whatever. Yep.
Everything they could to swerve us, and they got me because I was like, okay, maybe he actually isn't
got
coming
me
back.
too.
And all of a sudden, I heard the music. I was like, crap. Like, my dad was here with me. I literally just went like, I just did this. He's like, what? I'm like, Punk's back. Like, it
I
was just
looked
that
down at
moment
my
that I-
phone and thought the match was over, and then I heard that 2 seconds of that intro, and John was instantly like, "They actually did it! Like they brought that bastard back. This is gonna be fun to watch again."
It will make it interesting. I will give them that. It will make it interesting.
You guys missed the biggest return. R-Truth.
By the way, the reality there, TJ, to your point, CM Punk has 0 24/7 title reigns. Punk has 54. Sorry, R-Truth has 54. Until Punk can match R-Truth, the biggest return of the night will remain R-Truth, then Randy Orton, then CM Punk. But okay, fun story on the bright side of things, guys, before we wrap this thing up on this.
Attaboy.
I did swerve my own son tonight. He wasn't watching with me this weekend. So I told him I'd show him. I said, hey, somebody came back this weekend at Survivor Series. So like, what, Randy Orton? I'm like, man, how'd you know? So I put the match on anyway. And so he watched Orton come out and he's like, okay, cool. And then we kept watching. And then Punk's music hit and he dropped his spoon in the cereal. He's just like, they brought Punk back? Like, he had no idea.
Wait,
So
how
he
old's
was-
your son? How old's your son?
He's 10.
And he knows
So-
Punk?
My son, yes. Like, so my son like studies old wrestling books. He has wrestling figurines, a closet of wrestling figurines. He watches YouTube Bell to Bells on all these wrestlers. Like
Oh my gosh.
like
That's crazy.
you guys think he is my son. He is full nerd as I am on all this stuff. But yeah, he knows CM Punk. He actually, believe it or not, I actually bought him a CM Punk shirt and went to
about
UFC in
time.
Milwaukee. So, but anyway, sorry for talking so much, guys. Thank you for humoring me.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's all right.
all I gotta say right now is Jamal Adams is a bitch.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Hey, y'all are just. This is finally what you guys should be doing because you have the team for it. That has been so depressing to watch. It's been hilarious because it's the Cowboys, but
Yeah.
like you guys have had the team to do this with to play this type of football, and it's fun to watch.
I need the Cowboys to win this game to hit my parlay. So
All right, I want to introduce a new segment here, or at least try it out here before we go segment. So I thought each week we could pick a story. I mean, it can be sports related, doesn't have to be sports related. This week it is, but just something to throw out there and give your thoughts on real quick, and try to make it more lighthearted. I'm sure this is one that, and it can be one that nobody's heard about that you just kind of find but I'm pretty sure all of you have heard about this. But I was listening to some sports talk this morning on the way to work, and they were talking about this, and I thought, we got to bring this up on the show. So I know you guys, follow hockey enough to know about, I'm assuming what happened with Corey Perry for the Blackhawks. All right. He's released. They cut all ties to him. Now there have been a few things that came out in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 hours, according to this article that I'm looking at, that I hadn't heard this morning. But the rumor was that supposedly, because they said it was workplace matter, conduct that's unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. The rumor is, of course, that supposedly they caught him having some fun with Bedard's mom during one of the mom weekends that I guess the team does, where they bring all the players' moms on a road trip or whatever. So this morning they were talking about some of the other times that something similar to this has happened in sports, not necessarily with like a player sleeping with another teammate's mom, but they were talking about like apparently with back with the Mavericks when they had Jason Kidd, Jamal Mashburn, and Jim Jackson. Apparently all three of them were having fun with Tony Braxton at the same time, and it kind of broke up that trio. It caused a lot of problems. And there was the issue with Derek Fisher, and I think she's now married to him, but he was supposedly dating one of his teammates' ex-wives, and the teammate drove up to his house and like slapped him across the face when he found out about it or something. And then of course there's the right now the impending marriage of Michael Jordan's son to Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, and supposedly Scottie Pippen or Jordan's son wants Michael Jordan to be the best man at the wedding. So that's rather interesting.
You're forgetting Delonte West too.
Yeah. Okay. So see, I knew there were a few that I think they mentioned him on that one this morning too, and I wasn't familiar with that situation. So first of all, how did I thought I'd throw it out there to see if anyone wanted to make any comments, because I know some of you are bigger hockey fans than I am. Obviously,
I mean, what they do on the outside of the rink is their life. I mean, I don't. Really
but do you?
Like, they're two grown people. Like,
sure, but is there? I mean, certainly, what if his mom's not married and she's single,
right,
she could have sex with whoever she wants. But should a team maybe have certain? Now, I will say, hold on, before anyone else comments. Apparently, the latest reports I'm hearing, it had something to do with an alcohol-fueled incident involving Perry, which occurred during an event that included corporate partners and team employees in attendance. It says it remains unclear what allegedly took place, who witnessed it, and who reported it to them. But so it supposedly now has nothing to do with that. But so I guess it does raise an interesting question. What was that?
So he was drunk and decided to start hitting on her and doing things inappropriately with her in front of her.
No, it had nothing to do with her. The internet is undefeated, and they created that story, right? They created that story.
But Marco, it's an entertaining story. You got to admit that.
Well, look, man, this is the next Wayne Gretzky, and it's like they're not getting he got zero protection from this bullshit story that came out about his mom. He's 18 years old, it's like, come on. And the Blackhawks did very little, in my opinion, to get out in front of it. Yep. They did mention it in the presser the day before yesterday, and said it didn't involve everybody. And of course, when you're dealing with an HR situation, it's tight-lipped and whatever. But someone else witnessed that drunken behavior. I hate Corey Perry. I hated Corey Perry when he was on the Ducks.
Yeah,
he's a pig. I can't stand the guy. I hated the signing. So someone could have came up and said something. And the fact that they didn't protect Connor Bedard is another reason why I can't stand the Blackhawk organization.
How about his mom saying
left?
Well, his mom probably, yeah. I mean, and what about she could have said you don't want to say anything. It's embarrassing. It's degrading. It's the freaking internet, going wild. But I feel like the Hawks did a disservice to Connor, and the Hawks had a great opportunity, mentioned it on Tuesday, to really cover this, right? They could have distracted everybody by signing Patrick Kane, and instead they let him go sign with the freaking Red Wings. So that would have been a great distraction.
I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Well, and here's my thing with this whole situation. If there is, I don't know what contracts look like through the NHL, nor will I ever see what it looks like. But I don't think there's anything that says stay away from players' moms.
You don't have to, man. Come on.
Right.
Well, I guess that's why that's one of the reasons too why I wanted to bring it up is even if it's not true, which it turns out now that it more likely is not. But should there be some kind of a conduct, or is it just more of a common sense thing? Like, stay away from the moms of the players, like, because if it happened, you know, I don't know. I just think that's something that can cause a lot of. It's just like work, you know. That people say at work, don't date someone you work with. It's just, I mean, you can. There's no law against it. I mean, maybe some companies do have a policy against it, but most companies don't. It's just kind of frowned upon because it could, you know. So I guess my question would be, is this something that, like, let's say hypothetically that it was exactly true and that's why he left? I mean, you know, is that smart for teams to just maybe put in a policy saying, hey, let's you know, if you want to sleep with somebody, try to do it with somebody outside the organization that's not, you know, related. I don't know.
Do it with a mom on another team.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go, Troy. See, now focus on banging moms on other teams. That's fine.
But see, this is where, is it going to be like one of those things where it's like, all right, paragraph 4, subsection C, those 4 hoes. Like, is it going to say don't sleep with, you know, teammates' moms, or birds before hoes? Like, I feel like this is just childish. Like, if this is true, cool. Corey Perry, you banged a rookie's mom. Cool. Hazing right there. They're going to put that as a hazing incident. Honestly, I see how that's going to go. But at the same time, they're grown-ups. If they want to fight about it, dude, they're 2 hockey players. Fight in the middle of practice, beat the living snot out of each other. Get over it. It's life.
No, look, I'll put it this way. When you come to a certain point of being a professional, there's certain things you can and can't do, period. And it comes to in and out of work in terms of keeping yourself clean, keeping your name clean, and because you're representative of not just yourself, but the company you work for. There's some things that you need to be able to present yourself in such a way that means something. And that is important. And that's why you see guys who have affairs lose jobs. That's nothing to do with their job, but it can affect how they are viewed due to their own integrity, due to their own people's view of them. These things do matter. Whether it affects the job he's doing or not is not the point. It affects the ability to do the job because of the second and third order effects of that action. Things are not always just what they are at face value, and that's what people lose sight of sometimes. If I were a philanderer, you're not going to trust me around your families, nor should you. You're not going to think very highly of me as an individual, nor should you. I'm probably not on the show anymore, as I shouldn't be. There are certain levels of reasonable human behavior that should be expected if you want to be affiliated with an organization or with any group of people. And that's part of keeping society accountable. It shouldn't have to be spelled out for you. Don't screw bro's mom. That's basic unspoken bro code. That's not even like, that's basic. Like, that's not hard. I understand your point, TJ. There's fun tongue-in-cheek pieces to that, but that's not hazing. That's not funny. That's just sleazy. That's just crappy. Like, there's.
So, but how do we know that she didn't egg this on? So this is where this is going to be a whole.
It does not matter. I don't care who started it.
I mean,
if she did it, she's a kind of person too. You can't. I don't care. You tell me you slipped and you fell on her. That's not how it works, dude.
Okay,
I mean, yeah, thinking But anyway, so at the end of the day, the point is make good decisions. Don't put yourself in a position to make that bad decision. If you want to have the privilege of being in the position that you're in, act like it.
Yeah.
And that's the point that comes up here. Corey Perry, if you're out here drinking like an idiot and getting yourself in a position where you're being drunk in public and causing a problem or scenes in these situations, you have now acted in a way. Him being drunk is not affecting his play. He's still a good hockey player. But his conduct has affected his ability to be on a hockey team. Yeah. It still matters.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we went way over, but had some fun talking about some going on the wrestling rants and, of course, talking football. So everybody enjoy the college championship, conference championship games this weekend. Enjoy the NFL, and we'll see everybody next week.